Hey everybody, good evening. It's about 7:45 p.m. on the 15th of August, 2022. August is halfway over, and I'm here to have a little bit of a late night session on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. We're also going to be taking a look at Bitcoin. I'm going to be very clear and concise today. It's pretty clear what's going on, and I want to get all of this out. So before I get into any of it, of course, as you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, and doing your own research. And this is just my opinion on the market. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get right into it. I don't want to waste your time tonight. So let's just go ahead and dive into. We're going to dive into the S&P 500. Okay, so first off, we've had a pretty significant move to the downside. Let's just go ahead and measure the move that we have had so far. From the top to the bottom, right there, on June 17th, we had a 24.3% drop. Okay. Obviously, we've already gone up more than 50% of that move. But let's just go ahead and take a look and see how far we actually have come. Pinning that. We have not quite gotten to the 618. And I'm not on log scale. If I move to log scale and I make sure that my fib is also on log scale, which it is, right? So you can see how it moves around, right? When I'm on logarithmic versus arithmetic, it's a little bit different. If I'm not on log scale, we don't have much more upside to go. If I put myself and make sure that, if I take myself off of log scale, you can see that 618 is still up at 43.61. We're talking a difference of 43.22 to 43.61. Not a huge difference. That's from the top to the bottom, okay? So let's say we've got that. We've got that figured out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put on a moving average. I'm going to put on a couple different moving averages here, and I'm going to do this with my indicator that I have that has all of my different moving averages. Now, the red moving average that we've got right here, and I know there's a lot on here. I want to focus on the red moving average. That is also sitting right there at about 43.25, which again, if we pull out our fib and we go ahead and put this on here, that lines up pretty nicely with the 618. Do you see that? It is exactly where that 200-day moving average is. And this is on ES futures. So this is, I'll take a look at IWM. Yeah, that's no worries. Sorry, Life Varsity, I just saw that. So yes, I can do that. So I just want to talk about the confluence here. That at the 200-day simple moving average, also in confluence with the 618. I want to take you guys on a little bit of a history route here. I want to go all the way back. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of these things. My 21, my 55, take off the 200 exponential, 30 simple, and these other different moving averages I've got. I want to focus on the 100 and the 200 because I think this is actually going to be pretty important because I want to go all the way back to 2008. Okay? What happened? Today, we are basically looking at ourselves right here. Okay? We're close to that 200 exponential. We're not quite there. Now, again, going back and taking a look at 2008, right from the top to the bottom, this is actually the bottom right here, 21%. We've actually gone down further than that, okay? So we've gone down 24%, right? And this is only going down 21%. Now, this is in 2008. We know what happens next, but what I want to talk about is, the importance of where we are now versus what happened here. So what we had is from this point here, which is in March of 2008, all the way through May of 2008. Okay, so let me actually put time and price on here. So we're going to get the date and the price so we can look at the difference here. So back then we went up 15% in 63 days. Okay? 15% in 63 days. Now let's go ahead and fast forward to where we're at right now. I'm going to do the same thing. So going down here from the very bottom, And to where we're at right now, basically, we're at 59 days, okay? So if you recall, back here, that was 63 days. And right here, we are 59 days into this upward trend. Now, again, it's very possible we have not topped. I think it is also possible that we have, but it's reasonable to assume that we haven't topped out yet. We have a pretty decent, strong move up so far. It actually looks impulsive. But right now, what we have is when we've got our indicator here that we talk about all the time, it's getting into overbought. But let's look at the divergence here that, really I don't pay too much attention to, but I'm going to right now. I'm going to keep my 3K on there, but I'm going to take off all of my other indicators. I'm just going to be taking a look at the yellow, which I talk about the yellow quite a bit, right? So we have a high here, and we so far have a lower high here, okay? So let me just adjust this and take off the extension on the right. And then let's take a look and see what we've got here. We've got a low here, a high here, and we have a higher high here, where we have a lower high here. We're starting to create divergence. Now, in order for this to be really, really bullish, well, the price has to actually exceed this high here. This is the high that we have to cross, in my opinion, before we really start getting bullish. I think it's important to note we're below the 200 still, and the same thing was true in 2008. I think what we're about ready to experience is something that we haven't seen in a really, really long time. I'm not going to talk too much about downside targets, though. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much about downside targets, but what I do believe I see going on here is going from this area here. Let me go ahead and, again, remove the extension on the right side. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this. We're going to pull this out. That price action, we're starting to see more and more areas of confluence. It is possible that we do see a little bit of a drop, and then we see that pop into that overhead resistance. As our friend Tyler on the server would say, that's our DTL, that's our downtrend line. And I think that we're probably going to see a rejection off of that and probably going to go to new lows given time, okay? And if you're on the Discord and you're in the server and you're part of Insured, you know what my long-term projection is. I'm just talking short-term right now. This is more than likely what potentially is going to be happening. Yes, we can see higher prices, and it wouldn't hurt us to come all the way up here to about 43.25. So far, we're seeing that rejection at 4,300. It's a nice psychological number. It makes sense for us to reject there. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Now, if you're in the server, you are also aware that I was long from below 12,000, and I didn't close that until it was about 11,600. I closed that at about 13,100 or so. I caught about a 1,500 point move on that. I'm now short on NASDAQ. I'm short on NQ, and I have been for a while. Although that 200 is still sitting all the way up here at about 14,000. If we do get above 14,000, that's going to be where I cut that short. I'm planning on holding that for a little while. But again, going back to the indicator, let me just go ahead and get this back to the way that it's supposed to be, kind of show everything on here. Okay. So if I put this all on here, again, we're starting to see very similar things. Okay, we really are. We're starting to see very similar things. We've had a nice rally, right? We had some rejection there at the 1618. We've started to push through, which leads me to believe we probably are going to see higher prices. I would say we're probably going to be looking for prices here at about 13.9. I'm not sure that it's quite going to get up to 14,000. Let's do something very similar to what we did on the S&P. Now remember, NASDAQ topped out the week of Thanksgiving. The S&P topped out basically at the beginning of the year. Okay, so right here, we're pushing through that 50. And again, I'm on log scale. If I move this from log to arithmetic, we see that the prices are going to flip-flop a little bit. Here on non-log, so on arithmetic, we have that rejection area that we would expect here at about 13,918. Is it possible that tech can go a little bit higher? Sure, it's possible, but we have to be very careful because we have rallied so hard. We are either going to see a really, really sharp pullback that probably is going to catch a lot of people by surprise, which is why I'm saying be careful, or we're going to see some sideways grinding and waiting for that 200 simple moving average to keep moving down a little bit further. Yes, the price is going up, but it's going up underneath the 200 simple moving average, which means that that moving average is going to decrease. Every day, that moving average is going to go lower and lower. It needs to get above that 200 for it to even think about starting to move up. But again, it's going to take a while to be above that 200 in order for it to actually start moving up. But for now, again, actually, I'm going to keep this on log because I think that's probably where I really need to focus on. As at that 50 at 13,918 on NASDAQ, which again, I do believe is probably going to hit within the next couple days. It's possible that we rally into the end of the week, but I would be very careful for next week, going into the next week. You have to be very careful. We've got a lot of indicators that are saying that we're getting ready to top out and it's going to happen soon. So I'm just telling you guys to be careful. If you've got long positions, make sure you've got stop losses on them. We've had a really great couple weeks here. And as we stated previously, we've been going up for 59 days, right? That's what we said that we were doing here. So yeah, it's basically 60 days we've been going up and doing nothing but go up. Maybe a little bit of chop here, chop there, but the price action has been moving up for 2 months now. So you need to be very careful. You need to consider de-risking and then waiting for a pullback to put risk back on. So that's my caution for right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at our good friend IWM. So I'm going to get on the Russell futures here. So Russell futures, let's just take a look at this. So Russell is actually above the 200, which I would sort of expect this because the low caps have actually been performing pretty well. I do keep my eyes on a few small caps. A really good example, I'm not going to get off on a sidetrack here, but we've been watching Nerdy since it was below $2. We caught on to that when it was like between 160 and 190, right? So we were talking about that all the way back here, and it was probably May 20th, May 23rd, somewhere around here. I was telling everybody, let's go ahead and buy Nerdy, and buying it long term for a number of different reasons. I'm not going to get into the reasons now because it digs in a little too much. I'm not planning on doing right now. But this has gone up, basically 100%. And it did that basically twice because it did move up, and I actually sold quite a bit up here above $3, and I bought back down. I think it was actually about $2.40 that I bought back in. But what that did is that lowered my average price from like $1.60 all the way down to like almost $1 when you consider the amount of shares that I was accumulating. And I also sold some calls along the way as well. So there are numbers of different ways to make money using the same position in the market. But Nerdy's doing really great. So I would expect that would translate into the Russell, right? If you're looking at low cap stocks, that's going to translate into the Russell. And so Russell is actually doing pretty well right now. It's above the 200. I would still say that the S&P and the NASDAQ are the ones you really need to pay attention to. But Russell right now, as we can tell, is doing pretty well. Just for the record, Russell moved sideways for basically a year. So back here where it entered on about February 3rd of 2021, and it didn't break down until the end of January of 2022. So for a year, this thing did nothing but move sideways. We had a little bit of a trap up here. So we had basically a liquidity grab to get stops before it finally broke down, retested, and then died. Okay, so I would just say that Russell is going to look a little different compared to the other guys. But let's just take a look at this. We've got the 50 right there, 2050. And let me just check and see if that's set up to log. That's not on log. If we go into log scales, you can see it's crossed the 50. I'm going to keep myself on arithmetic for right now and taking a look at that 50 sitting up there at 2050. If that gets rejected, just for the record, if that does get rejected, and I actually believe that it will, I would be taking a look at a move down here to the negative 236. So that's sort of what I would expect to see. There is something on NASDAQ that I didn't point out that I think is actually important to point out. This 50 that we have right here, if you look left, I'm going to put just a horizontal line right there, and I'm going to get rid of some of these other horizontals. If you look left, you can see we have areas of support. We have an area of support here, and there's a little bit of support and resistance we can see right here. It's not as clear as it is back here in late January and right here in early April. If we go all the way back here to 2021, you can see we have some support here, we had a little bit of resistance here, and we had a big area of resistance right there. So there is some significant resistance that we do have to pay attention to right at that 50. So I think that's, it's going to be adding to the confidence in the short, because again, I think we're starting to see signs that we're starting to top out a little bit, and I think we need to recognize those signs. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, honestly, does not look great. Bitcoin really does not look good right now. Bitcoin, look at how far it is from the 200, so far away. That the 100 is right here at about 26,000. Do I think we're going to get to 26? I mean, it's possible, but I doubt it. I really do. I'm not feeling really great on crypto right now. Yeah, there's some good news with Ethereum, but I think the news with Ethereum is too good. And what do I mean by that? Well, okay, so there's a couple things. There's proof of work, proof of stake. Bitcoin is proof of work. Ethereum is proof of work. Ethereum wants to go to proof of stake. I don't think there's enough evidence in the market to support that proof of stake is actually, secure and great and all these good things. So I think there's a lot of economics behind a proof of stake coin, especially something as big as Ethereum, that we're not paying close enough attention to. So I would be very, not skeptical, but very careful. And especially whenever that, that day zero comes, you need to be very diligent, and you need to be able to, to control your position if you need to make an adjustment really quickly. Also, keep in mind, whatever that first move is usually the wrong move. We talk about this during we talk about this when there's FOMC minutes, a lot of other different economic events. The first move is usually the wrong one, so just pay attention to that. I have a question here. What's my opinion on us having the most shorts in the market right now since June of 2020? Does it change anything with my current conviction? Well, you make a really, really great point. And historically, what I have said is that when there are more shorts in the market, or in this case, when there are more put positions in the stock market, that the chances are pretty good that we're not going to have that mega drop that we would expect. Which this is one of the reasons why on the Discord server we've been taking actually a lot of call positions, basically to cover any shortfalls on short trades. We got some Tesla 970 calls today at 740. We were able to close out half of them at about $13. Right, so we also got into some 4,300 calls on SPX at 240. We closed out most of them at 360. So I mean, just giving examples that yeah, I could be wrong longer term. I don't think I am, but I'm totally willing to day trade with whatever the current trend is. And today that was up. That's why we were getting calls. We got QQQ calls, Tesla calls, SPX calls, NVIDIA calls, which NVIDIA hasn't quite worked out yet, but it might. If we do continue to see a grind to the upside, we could see that work out really, really well. So does that change anything with my current conviction? Not yet. I do think that there is not as much open interest this Friday as there usually is. So I need to keep an eye on that. And if you're on the Discord, you'll be able to keep an eye on that with me, because that is something that I do pay attention to. And when I forget to pay attention to it, there's always everybody on the Discord that's reminding me for it, just like you just did, Versity, just reminding me that the options positions actually do control the market to a certain degree, more so than a lot of people think it does. But at the end of the day, calls have been printing and printing and printing. Even though there hasn't been as many of them, calls have been making a ton of money. And the same thing with Bitcoin. Really great example here, longs versus shorts. I would say that there's a lot of people that you kind of FOMOing into long positions here. I don't have any proof to back that up right now. That's really Elo's realm. But we're getting to a point of resistance. You've got the 100 right here at about 26K, which also, just for the record, it kind of sits right in line with this low that we had right here, all the way back, basically in mid-May. And it's been several months since then. We had a nice big drop off the cliff. And this formation, we need to have a pullback. I guess we don't have to, but ideally we would get a little bit of a pullback before we went to go and see higher prices. Can we get up to that 200? Yeah, I think we can. The probability right now is telling me that we're actually not in a formation that is super, super bullish, but it looks more like we're creating more and more like a rising wedge. Now, this can certainly just defy anything that that I preach, that we go up higher. That is certainly possible. But more than likely, what's going to end up happening is maybe we see that little pop to the 100, we break down, we retest, and then we come lower. And yes, I do think that this is probably more likely. It's going to take time to tell. I think the probability is that we're going to go down. That's not saying that you need to go out and go all in on shorts, right? Any short positions that you take should always be put in place with a certain level of risk management that you need to make sure that you're adhering to. If you don't know anything about risk management, then, well, you're in the right place, but you need to be on our Discord server in order to really take advantage of the education that we have when it comes to risk management, especially with leverage positions. Options are leverage positions. Of course, longing and shorting, those all come with a certain amount of risk and leverage as well, with their own liquidation levels. So again, I'm not talking about targets right now. I'm just talking about caution that you need to be having, because it is very, very possible that we are going to be reaching a top sometime here in the near future. All right, guys. Hopefully this helped. I'm here to help you. And if you did learn anything here, or if this helped you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. If you're a fan of losing money, don't subscribe to this channel. If you want to continue to receive actionable information and have some kind of a path to financial freedom, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. While you're at it, join our Discord trading room, where we discuss market movements all day long. We discuss trade ideas, and they're posted almost every single day. And I do weekly updates on the stock market and on Bitcoin typically. And we also have not just me, but we've got Elo in the room as well, that are always here to help. All right, guys. Hey, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Take care.